This is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, VON Radio, from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
From the VON Newsline, this is the VON Major Newscast.
Good evening. I am Tashan Tyson, in with your VON Major News package for today, Friday, March 8, 2019. In our lead stories, nationally, missing teenager girl found, and Civil Aviation Division hosts National Inspector course. Regionally, fake doctor now in custody and charged by police in Jamaica. Internationally, U.S. records its lowest number of jobs as growth slows. And in sports, Greenhouse wins at JLPS Sports Meet. We'll have the details of these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, VON.
Welcome back. Another national news in detail. In police news, the Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force has confirmed that 14-year-old Larica Moses of Market Street, St. Kitts, has been found. Reports say she is in police custody. Larica was last seen at a home on Market Street on Thursday, February 28th at about 8:45 a.m. She was found one day after the VON Newsline received a missing person bulletin from the police. She was also found 8 days after she was last seen. The Civil Aviation Division, CAD, within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Aviation here in St. Kitts and Nevis, is hosting its first National Inspector Course, NIC, with the aim of building capacity of persons responsible for conducting quality control activities within their entities. The training, which began on March 5th and ends on March 11th, is a requirement of the International Civil Aviation Organization ICAO Standard 3.4 of the ICAO Annex 17. Senior Civil Aviation Officer Royston Griffin said that training is to ensure that agencies comply with all international standards and recommended practices, and highlights the government's obligations in meeting all the ICAO standards and recommended practices through oversights. The course comprises of 7 modules, including Introduction and Administration, Definition and Monitoring Activities contained in a National Civil Aviation Security Quality Control Program, Preparation Techniques for an Audit or Inspection, Audit and Inspection Methodology, Audit and Inspection Techniques, Profile of the Inspector, and Exercise at the Airport and Drafting Audit or Inspection Documents. Agencies attending this training are drawn from the Customs and Excise Department, LEAT, KDP, St. Christopher Air and Seaports Authorities, CASPA, Nevis Air and Seaport Authority, NASPA, Hajola Cristada, American Airlines, and the local Civil Aviation Department. As part of the assessment phase of this training, trainees will be required to create checklists for inspections or audits, conduct an inspection or audit, and present a final report as well as a written exam. Facilitators for the training are Royston Griffin, lead, and Arnel Jordan, who both work within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Aviation. The cohort 7 students of the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College CFPC and Jenkins Limited Leadership course have received approval to develop an Icons Park in St. Kitts. The designated area is a section of land located at the base of Adams Hill, Infirmary and Hospital Road directly opposite the Nomi Side Pocket Snacket. Over the coming weeks, it will be enhanced to include landscaping, ornamental plants, benches, and a number of informational plaques that will highlight nationals who have each made a significant contribution to the social and civic advancement of St. Kitts and Nevis. The environmentally conscious program commenced on 16 February 2019, which saw the space being cleared and prepared for what is expected to become a historic and educational site for visitors and the public at large. The Icons Park will officially open on Thursday, 14 March 2019. The initiative forms part of an annual requirement for the students to put their theoretical lessons into practice and design, implement and develop a community service initiative with a sustainable impact. The South Frigate Bay Beach area, including the area popularly known as the Strip, is earmarked for further development due to grant funding provided by the CARICOM Development Fund, CDF. The funding is part of the second cycle of the Fund's Country Assistance Program, CAP, for St. Kitts and Nevis. The $1.3 million grant for the further enhancement of the Frigate Bay area was signed on February 12 between the Government of St. Kitts and Nevis and the CDF. The grant will provide for physical upgrades to make it more appealing and competitive, improve guest comfort and the customer and visitor experience, as well as spur further private investment, entrepreneurship, and employment opportunities in the Frigate Bay area. The South Frigate Bay Enhancement Project was commissioned in November 2016 to revitalize the Strip experience, making it more viable and sustainable by improving its infrastructure, security, and its identity on a whole. To date, the project has seen the completion of roads, sidewalks, and wheelchair access and ramps at the Strip. Additionally, delivery and pickup points on extensive network of underground water, sewage and electrical lines, and an entrance roundabout were all completed under the previous phase. The $6.8 million EC paid to lawyers by the Team Unity government to remove former Prime Minister and Leader of the Opposition, the Right Honourable Dr. Denzil Douglas, from the National Assembly could be better spent on several initiatives to better the quality of life of the people. That's according to Chairman of the Opposition of St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, SKNLP, Dr. Terence Joe. He was quoted as saying, "The EC $6.8 million can build at least 60 homes for 60 families here in St. Kitts and Nevis." He added that the monies could have been better spent to uplift our people and our country. The passport case was an attempt to have Dr. Douglas disqualified from sitting in the National Assembly based on his use of a Dominican diplomatic passport. However, following his victory over the government in the passport case, he filed a constitutional motion alleging that the government breached his right to privacy. The Ross University School of Veterinary Medicine, RUSVM, has created an event to celebrate the contributions of female leaders on St. Kitts and Nevis for the individual accomplishments and their efforts to further increase gender parity. The RUSVM Purple Glam Gala and Award Ceremony will be held at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort at 7 p.m. this evening, March 8, 2019, in honor of International Women's Day. Honorees were nominated by the organizations and then selected by an event committee. The event is led by RUSVM's Empowerment, Diversity, Growth, Excellence, EDGE chapter, which is a network of leaders and professionals who work to accelerate the advancement of women across the university and at Aditellum Global Education broadly. With 23 chapters of Aditellum institutions around the world, EDGE hosts events and activities that further strengthen female leaders who empower and inspire attendees, sharing knowledge and creating aspirations. Guest speaker Jehan Williams, an attorney for the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, will share her unique perspective on this year's theme, #Balance for Better. The evening will include dinner, awards, live entertainment, and giveaways. All proceeds from the event will be donated to Project Viola, a charity that supports teen mothers and their children in the Federation. And finally, Naomi's Nursery and Preschool in Garrick's Pasture, Jessop's Village, now has a playground thanks to the Four Seasons Resort Nevis. Director of Guest Experiences, Mr. Mackie France, presented the gift to the school supervisor, proprietor, Mrs. Naomi Douglas, on behalf of the resort and said the school's proximity was one of the reasons it was chosen. It had been installed at the resort for 28 years and was no longer needed. However, the repairs were done on the structure. Mrs. Douglas thanked the resort for the kind gesture and all those who contributed in directing the gift to the school. She also thanked Mr. France, the resort, the Four Seasons Resort, etc., for their efforts. That's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Ladies and gentlemen, this here's another one for the steppers.
Swipe to win big in 2019. That's right, the Bank of Nevis Limited is once again giving you, our valued customers, a chance to win big. Just swipe or use your Bond Visa credit card for US $100 for a chance to win a cruise for two, an iPhone XS, or a grocery dash at Best Buy Supermarket.
Say what?
Sign up for a Bond Visa credit card and automatically be entered for a chance to win. This offer ends August 31st, 2019. So tell your friends and family to swipe to win big with the Bank of Nevis. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram.
Welcome back. Another regional news in detail out of Jamaica. The police are reporting that Alicia England, the woman who is accused of posing as a medical doctor and fleecing persons of hundreds of thousands of dollars, is in custody. She has been charged by Area 1 Fraud Squad detectives as well as by investigators in the corporate area with several offenses including forgery, uttering forged documents, obtaining money by false pretense, and breaches of the Medical Act. A release from the Corporate Communication Unit, the Police Information Arm, stated. According to Loop News Jamaica, England reportedly operated as Dr. England McCrane, treating patients and even writing prescriptions for medications. Police say she is scheduled to appear in the St. James Parish Court on Friday, March 22nd. Out of St. Vincent. The president of the Cannabis Revival Committee, CRC, Junior Cottle, is urging marijuana farmers not to accept anything less than EC $300 for a pound of their product after a locally based medicinal cannabis company said it was offering $50 a pound. In a statement last week, the CRC called on traditional cultivators of cannabis to be on the lookout for some foreign investors who want to offer them lower than the unofficial EC $300 minimum. Out of St. Lucia. Corporal punishment will be suspended in schools across the country later this year before eventually being abolished a year later. The disclosure has come from the Ministry of Education, Innovation, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development, which said the move is in keeping with the many international conventions to which the island is signatory. Corporal punishment is to be suspended on May 1st, 2019 and eventually abolished by May 2020. Chief Education Officer Wafina Charles said that while the Education Act has no stated policy for the abolition of corporal punishment, it contained structures in the Act that stipulated how corporal punishment should be administered. Charles added, however, that the department must ensure that the mandates stipulated in the conventions, including protection of children, are achieved. To oversee the implementation process, the Department of Education has established a working committee charged with the responsibility of deciding the implementation dates towards the eventual abolition of corporal punishment. Out of Angola. The government has moved to halt the rapid increase of supermarket industry. The intention, according to Chief Minister Mr. Victor Banks and member for District 4, is to protect businesses in general in Angola without aiming at any particular person or group of persons. At the same time, it is to protect the interests of customers and the economy. This has come with a presentation, debate, and the passage of a bill for a Business License Moratorium Act 2019 on February 20th in the Angola House of Assembly, where members of the government side said the measure had come too late. It was rushed through the House to meet the March 1st deadline for the commencement of a year-long moratorium or temporary ban on the establishment of all further businesses in the supermarket sector. According to the Angolan newspaper, Mr. Banks said the government felt that the time had come to take a close look at the increase. As a consequence, the moratorium does not only apply to supermarkets owned by persons of a particular origin or ethnic background, but all supermarkets. A 2-week visit by an International Monetary Fund (IMF) delegation to Haiti ended today with an announcement that the impoverished country could get $229 million from the Washington-based financial institution to help it out of the economic woes. Head of the mission, Chris Walker, said in a statement released today that the 3-year extended credit facility, ECF, which allows lending at concessional rates and is aimed at stabilizing Haiti's economy by putting its budget deficit on a downward trajectory and managing its debt while protecting the poorest in the country, was negotiated with the government and the country's central bank. The 0% interest rate loan, once it receives approval from the IMF board, which is expected to meet to consider Haiti's request in coming weeks, will be paid over 3 years in return for receiving agreed goals. Finally, out of Antigua. The Faithful Nationals group held a protest yesterday over the multiple controversies surrounding the government. The protest started in the morning and targeted the Ministries of Tourism, Education, and Legal Affairs. Speaking to the Antigua Observer, one of the organizers of the protests, Harold Lovell, said they are protesting bad governance by the Gaston Brown administration. Mr. Lovell added that the people at the protest who could have been doing other things but came out in support, indeed a very, very good showing. That's it for Original Stories. Stay with us for news from around the world. Welcome back, and now the international news in detail. The U.S. economy created the lowest number of jobs for a year and a half in February, well before forecasts. Just 20,000 new jobs were created last month against expectations of an 180,000 increase, official figures show. It is the lowest growth in non-farm payrolls since September 2017, when employment was affected by Hurricanes Harvey and Irma. However, the small rise followed a sharp increase in new jobs in January, which was revised up to 311,000. A U.S. federal judge has dismissed porn actress Stormy Daniels' lawsuit seeking to annul a hush money agreement she had with President Donald Trump. Mr. Trump has denied having an affair with Ms. Daniels. However, former lawyer Michael Cohen has said that $130,000 payment was made to help Mr. Trump get elected. In other news, a 37-year-old mother has been jailed after becoming the first person in the UK to be convicted of female genital mutilation, FGM. The Ugandan woman mutilated her 3-year-old daughter at their family home in East London in 2017. She was jailed for 11 years and a further 2 years. Here is more in this BBC report.
The woman, who can't be named for legal reasons, didn't react as the judge told her she'd betrayed her daughter's trust and carried out a barbaric practice, which was a form of child abuse. She said it's likely the child will suffer psychologically long after the physical scars have healed. During the trial, the court heard that she'd subjected her daughter to deliberate cutting with a sharp instrument. Doctors raised the alarm when the 3-year-old was taken to hospital with severe bleeding. The court had been told that when police searched their home, they found evidence of witchcraft.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said on Thursday that an erosion of trust and lack of communication with his former Justice Minister led her to resign and accuse him of applying inappropriate pressure in a corruption prosecution, a dispute that has shaken his government. However, the Prime Minister made no apologies as he discussed the issue at a nationally televised news conference. Former Justice Minister and Attorney General Jody Wilson-Raybould said last week that Trudeau and senior officials tried to pressure her into instructing prosecutors to avoid criminal prosecution of Montreal-based engineering giant SNC-Lavalin and instead required it to pay fines for alleged bribery in Libya. The case has led to the resignations of 2 high-profile cabinet ministers and his top aide, as well as opposition calls for him to step down. Trudeau and his aides deny doing anything wrong. And finally, schools and workplaces in Venezuela have closed as an electricity blackout continues into a second day. The power cut, which started on Thursday afternoon, was caused by issues at a major hydroelectric plant. The government of President Nicolas Maduro has blamed the opposition, accusing them of sabotage. More in this report.
The capital, Caracas, was plunged into almost complete darkness at the height of rush hour, forcing thousands of workers to walk the journey home. The government of President Nicolas Maduro has blamed the situation on sabotage carried out by the opposition. For his part, the opposition leader Juan Guaidó took to Twitter to denounce the situation, saying that light would return once Mr. Maduro was removed from office.
That brings us to the end of our news segments. Latest in Sports is next.
Need a car but don't quite have the deposit? You don't need a deposit with Suzuki Sign and Drive at TDC Automotive. I've been waiting for this moment. Choose your Suzuki vehicle, sign up, and drive out. Get a brand new vehicle with 0 deposit, 5 years warranty, 1 year servicing, special finance and insurance, free flat screen TV with 3 months Flow TV package, free undercoating, free car care bundle, and so much more. Come in, sign up, drive out. Suzuki Sign and Drive at TDC Automotive. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. Another sports in detail. In local sports, the George Lane Library Primary School JLPS held its annual sports meet on Thursday, March 7th at the St. George's Recreation Grounds under the patronage of Aldrisa Burke and Utroy Liburd. The athletes competed in the following races: 800, 200, 400, 1200, 100, 80, 4x100 and 4x400 meters, hurdles, and endurance races. The results were as follows: Green House 456 points, Red House 385 points, Blue House 318 points. Still in local sports. 3 Division female cricketers have travelled to Antigua for the upcoming West Indies Women's Cricket Tournament. The 3 ladies are Sanelda Willett, vice captain of the team, Wazelle Liburd, and Melissa Clark. The 3 young ladies indicated that they were all ready for the tournament and vowed to help the Leeward team put up a good showing this year. In cricket, Steve Smith and David Warner have been omitted from Australia's squad for the 5-match one-day international series against Pakistan in March. The pair are eligible for the final 2 matches of the series because their year-long ban for ball tampering against South Africa ends on 28th March. Both batsmen are close to returning to fitness after elbow surgery this year. Australia selector Trevor Hunt said the best pathway for their return was to play in the Indian Premier League. The IPL 2020 competition starts on 23rd March. Smith will play for the Rajasthan Royals and Warner is part of the Sunrisers Hyderabad squad. In basketball, Giannis Antetokounmpo scored 29 points and Chris Middleton added 27 to help the Milwaukee Bucks bounce back from their first consecutive losses of the season with a 117-98 victory over the Indiana Pacers on Thursday night. Milwaukee, which improved to an NBA best 49-16, was coming off back-to-back losses to Utah and Phoenix after opening a 5-game road trip with 3 victories. Meanwhile, the Houston Rockets front line will be thinned a bit the next few days. Forward Kenneth Faried will not play this evening against the Philadelphia 76ers or Sunday against the Dallas Mavericks because of an adductor strain. He is also expected to be doubtful for Monday's home game with the Charlotte Hornets. And finally, in football, Lionel Messi has been named in the Argentina squad for the first time since the 2018 World Cup. The Barcelona forward 31 has missed 6 international friendlies following defeat by eventual winners France in the last 16 in Russia in June. He is part of a 31-man squad for friendlies against Venezuela and Morocco this month. Paris Saint-Germain midfielder Angel Di Maria, 31, has also been recalled for the first time since the World Cup. Argentina captain Messi, his country's record scorer with 65 goals in 128 games, initially retired from international duty after Copa America final defeat by Chile in June 2016 before reversing his decision less than 2 months later. Argentina faces Venezuela in Madrid at 1 a.m. GMT on March 23rd before playing Morocco in Tangier on March 26th. That's it for sports. The weather report is next. Welcome back, and now the local weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. Weather tonight will be mostly fair with cool conditions. Weather tomorrow will have partly sunny skies in general, with only a 20% or slight chance of an early morning shower. Winds are east at 19 to 30 kilometers per hour or 10 to 16 knots. Seas are 1.2 to 1.8 meters or 4 to 6 feet. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:24 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Friday, 8 March 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, missing teenage girl found. And Civil Aviation Division hosts National Inspector course. Regionally, fake doctor now in custody and charged by police in Jamaica. Internationally, U.S. records its lowest number of jobs as growth slows. And in sports, Greenhouse wins at JLPS Sports Meet. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Tashon Tyson, wishing you a great weekend.